Stellar Life, mission log number 253.
Shockwave, it's really good. It makes life-changing effects. It's unbelievable what I've experienced because I treat in average, about 10 scars a day. And the relief that people get, it's mind-blowing. So I warn everybody, I say, hey, after the treatment, if you feel you want to cry, don't stop yourself, keep crying. And that's when we actually release the emotional trauma that is stuck. So this is another thing. Anybody that has had any surgery in their life, if they're still afraid touching their scar, or when they want to touch the scar, they feel weird, you have emotional trauma stuck in that scar.
Welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Get inspired and live out loud. From love, freedom, and success to having it all. Here's your host, coach, speaker, and shining star, Orion.
Roger, you're looking good.
Today we're going to shock you with Shockwave Therapy. And the fact is that if you don't know about this technology, you are going to be shocked at how easy and simple it is to get yourself out of pain. It's going to be mind-blowing to you to know that the scars in your body can cause a muscle dysfunction and cause you pain. And with simple and relatively cheap treatment, you can get rid of that pain. This technology should have been implemented in every hospital in the world, unfortunately, because doctors need to make money, and they can make more money out of cutting you up and getting you through surgery than have you go to a clinic, do like 3 to 4 time sessions of shockwave therapy, and then you're healed. It is not. So it is your job to research those new technologies and new modalities and just give yourself credit for being here and listening to this episode, because it's so important for you. If not for you, then I'm sure for one of your loved ones, because we're going to touch on how it can help diabetic patients, men with erectile dysfunction, people with Alzheimer's disease, and so much more. This is just a brilliant technology, and I think everyone in the world should know about that. And because it helped me so much, and you'll discover how, I invited my dear friend Uran Berisha to speak about it. He's the one who introduced this technology to us and helped me specifically with my treatment. He is the founder and visionary of Unpain Clinic. Uran helps humans resolve chronic musculoskeletal pain, optimize aging, increase athletic performance, and is just not only a practitioner, but he also mentors practitioners on proper shockwave therapy applications around the world. And now, without further ado, on to the show.
2, 1, 0.
Hey, Uran, and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. I'm actually very grateful, and I'm very happy to share today a little secret. And hopefully soon it's not going to be a secret anymore. I'm very excited to talk to you today. And thank you for inviting me in your podcast here.
Thank you. Before we begin, can you share a little bit about yourself and your passion?
Oh, it's interesting.
That was a big sigh.
Yes. Because I don't know where to start.
Where would I begin?
I'm only going to be 35 in June 27th. But I feel I've been living in this world forever. I've been through a lot. So I'm actually originally from Kosovo. So I moved to Canada about 11 years ago, to Alberta, Edmonton. In Kosovo, I was a physiotherapist. Moved to Canada, I had to start everything from scratch. Didn't speak any English, no job, nothing. And I found the way to practice my passion or love what I do. And I realized that nobody is doing shockwave therapy in Edmonton, or in Canada, there were only few clinics. And I said, hey, these people are missing a lot. So I bought the first device. I start offering to my clients and begging them, hey, please come and get shockwave for your chronic pain. And that's how we kind of started, from pretty much from word of mouth, helping people. And now today, I've done over 30,000 treatments with shockwave, ranging from all kind of people's need, all kind of chronic pain. But one thing that it's been mind-blowing personally, or was changing everything that I learned, even from school, almost like decoding chronic pain, has been the scar treatments, specifically scars that have been caused from surgeries.
So can you tell me a little bit about how you treat those scars?
Yes. So actually, I'm going to start with a personal story about scars, and then I'm going to explain why and how we treat them. So when I was 5 years old, I had a hernia surgery. Doctors at that time, they said I was very hyperactive, and that's how hernia happened. But anyway, I became a competitor swimmer, cyclist. I was very built, muscles, but I always had big belly. And I could never understand with my life, like, why do I have this big belly? Why I have like strong legs and arms, but big belly. And about 6 years ago, I took a training in Neurokinetic Therapy, which is a muscle testing. So it tests actually nervous system to see how muscles are actually working and how they're communicating and how they're responding with the nervous system. And that's where I learned how scars actually affect muscle function. And I treated my scar using Shockwave. And a couple of weeks later, people start actually saying to me, "Oh, are you on a diet? Are you losing weight?" And I said, "No, it's actually, I just treated my scar and I learned how scars shut down communication." While I was actually in that training, they said their way of treating a scar, and that's why when you get surgery, the surgeon tells you to go and touch the scar, to massage it, so to send stimulation to the nervous system, so hopefully they start communicating. And because my experience was Shockwave, I said, I can do this in a matter of seconds, using sound waves, sending signals again from the scar where the skin has been cut, and then the nervous system start communicating right away. So yeah, we do use Shockwave to treat any scar in the body after surgeries, doesn't matter how long it's been. And I always say to clients, because they come to me complaining about chronic lower back pain, and let's say they had a C-section or appendectomy 40 years ago, and they say it's like how that's possible, how it's still affecting me. And I tell that as long as you still live in the same body, it's still affecting you. And the other thing is there's no expiry date on injuries in the body unless you fix them, treat them.
How are the scars? What really happens there that creates pain in the body?
So imagine this. Human body, it has two kind of structures, or the way how we operate. We start as a software from a cell. Cell is a little harbor that contains all those molecules that it creates us as a humans. So I look at the body in two ways. We have the software aspect of the body, which is the nervous system, and then we have the hardware aspect of the body, which is the physical structure. Skin, imagine skin almost like your outer brain. So skin is the biggest organ in the body, and it contains nerve endings. So it gets all the information about the external environment, and it feeds your nervous system with that information. So you feel heat, cold through the skin, you feel the touch, and then we have different other sensors that actually, again, feed our nervous system with information, which is the visual aspect, the auditory, and then the proprioception is that helps the balance. So when the skin is cut during the surgery, there's a nerve ending damage that happens in that area. So your nervous system, it's actually going to lose communication with that site. So if there's no information coming in from that side of the skin, then there is no motor response. So your muscles don't know how to respond properly. What's going to happen if the surgery is actually big and it's going deep and it's covering a lot of structures, then there is more damage. So then your nervous system will actually be forced to find an alternative pathway to communicate or to use the body. And that's where it goes and creates what we call it dysfunctional patterns. So scars, from the software perspective, they mess up communication, the proper communication. So that's the first thing, because everything in the body conducts or communicates almost through electric signal. So if that communication is interrupted, then again, the function it's affected. The other way that scars now affect the body from the hardware perspective is that if you heard the term, or people now it's becoming much more popular, is the fascia. It's the thin white layer. If you cut meat, you see like one very thin layer that covers everything in the body. And this fascia, it's an intact web in the whole body. It's all connected. And to kind of use a simple term, that's where all the fiber optics of the body are. That's where the nervous system populates the structure more than anything else with nerve endings. So when the fascia is cut, it's actually going to start pulling on the direction of the cut. So any surgery in the body, let's say C-section, appendectomy, or ankle surgery, like you had ankle surgery, the effect of that scar, it's global. It can give you neck pain, it can give you shoulder pain, because pain in the body is just a signal that the nervous system is actually requesting a change. It doesn't tell you where it's coming from. So if anybody has been in any chronic pain and had any surgery in their life from the time they're born to today, they must treat the scar, because that's usually the missing link.
So it's like if you wear a sweater and you pull on one side of the sweater, the other side gets wrinkled.
Exactly. Yes, you nailed it.
So is there another way to treat the fascia? And what's the difference between massaging the scar or massaging the body to doing laser to doing shockwave therapy?
Okay, so let's start with manual therapy. So with massage, we always have a limit. For the scar to update the communication, the software, you need a very high, powerful stimuli, which with hands we can't.
Unless you're a high vibrational being.
Exactly. Yes. That's why you need a very powerful stimuli.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to change from the periphery, from the scar, to change things in the nervous system, you must sound almost like a shock waves. Right?
Yes.
Like a thunder of energy or a signal or something. So you wake up the nervous system and say, hey, this is where I am. Like you forgot about me. Come back and talk to me. So with hands, I say we have limits because imagine this. Anytime when we do manual therapy, we're treating muscles with muscles. Because let's say I'm the therapist, I'm treating the scar. I'm using my hands, my muscles to treat the muscles. So we have a limitation. We can only get so much. And therefore, it will help to almost detach the skin from the fascia, which helps a lot. It releases superficial restrictions, but it's not able to restore the communication, and it's not able to get to, like, let's say C-section. It will probably manually, you can only get about 1 or 2 centimeters deep, but beyond that, you cannot really get. With laser, it's really good for superficial effect. Again, to treat the skin, it would help to reduce the keloid because lasers are lights. So they use light to heat up the cells or to cause biological stimulation. And for the laser to really go deep, then they need to increase the energy. So therefore, again, you can overheat the cells. Nowadays, they're called lasers, what they call it, but we need a mechanical force. We don't need just biological stimulation. Shockwaves use actually sound waves. They are the same technology as they break up kidney stones with. So they're characterized by a very high amplitude of mechanical power. So if you had a treatment by physiotherapist with ultrasound, so shockwave, it's about 3,000 times stronger than ultrasound when it comes to mechanical power. But that sound wave only lasts 0.2 nanoseconds in the body. So it's extremely short. So it almost like just taps on the cell. So it doesn't kill any cell. There's no heat released or cold.
Does ultrasound kill cells?
If you hold it in one place for too long, yes, you can overheat the cells.
I was thinking about when I was pregnant, my baby was breached and I forgot the name of it, but when they tried to turn the baby around and they used like 2 hours of ultrasound on me and I'm like, wow, I don't know how healthy it is for the baby.
That's a diagnostic ultrasound, so normally it should be a little bit less powerful than the therapeutic ultrasound, but still, baby feels everything. And even ultrasound, it's a sound wave.
Yeah, when they did that, he went up and I felt his head like just bumping under my ribs. He was just so scared of it. And it was terrible. It was terrible. And then I tried to flip him so many times. I did all kinds of exercises, but he just liked to be upside down. And we planned a home birth, and I had a bathtub, and I invited the only doctor in LA that does breech deliveries. And after 12 hours of being like fully open, fully dilated, I had to go for a C-section. And I went from this beautiful environment at home where I had the team and my husband and beautiful music and candles and everything that I needed and food to just like rush to the hospital, and with the doctor there was very severe. And I mean, thank God she delivered my baby, and C-sections can save lives and probably save the life of my baby. It was completely different experience. And, I feel like this scar that I have is more than just on the physical level. Like this scar also holds trauma. So can shockwave therapy release the trauma as well?
Yes, because what you just shared with me here, it happens with every single person. Doesn't matter the surgery. So every surgery actually holds emotional trauma. And the way I personally can tell if the scar has a lot of keloid buildups, and if it's still pink even after 20 years, I can tell that that person didn't like that surgery. And the nervous system feels everything. Like even though you're under anesthesia, your body knows everything what's happening. And body's not meant to be really cut. So that's why I say it's like, thanks God that we have surgeries available, but they only should be for life-threatening or a C-section, to save the mom and the baby. So yes, and it's unbelievable what I've experienced, because I treat in average about 10 scars a day. And the relief that people get, it's mind-blowing. So I warn everybody, I say, hey, after the treatment, if you feel you want to cry, don't stop yourself, keep crying. If your mood changes, you have no clue why you're getting more sensitive or you're more sad or like you're very hyper. It's very normal for 72 hours. And that's when we actually release the emotional trauma that is stuck. So this is another thing. Like anybody that has had any surgery in their life, if they're still afraid touching their scar, or when they want to touch the scar, they feel weird, you have emotional trauma stuck in that scar. So if you have no shockwave, available wherever you live or no other modalities, please keep touching that scar. Please keep reconnecting with the scar, because it's messing up your energy flow. It's the communication. It becomes this almost itch in the nervous system. It never lets you fully relax or have that full energy flow throughout the system.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, I feel weird when I touch my scar still. I'm touching it right now. I'm like, that's still kind of weird.
You had the treatment with shockwave?
Yes. So we know each other through my husband, and you were so sweet. And we found when I was in Israel, when I first heard about it from you, I was in Israel and I couldn't find the right facility, even though it exists. I just couldn't find it. But now in Florida, we found a place. They don't do your rhythms. Like the technician there is working with different rhythms. And then you were on the phone with us and you gave us the exact amount of whatever needs to be done.
Shocks and energy, yes.
Yeah. So what's the difference? Why don't everyone know what you know? I know you teach technicians.
Yes. Actually, I'm the first guy that I put this together. So how scars affect the nervous system, this has been known in the past. But again, how to fix it this quick, because of my experience with shockwave in other fields and with multiple devices and being instructor and technician and everything. So I kind of know shockwave in and out. you need to come up with a specific number of shocks and the energy. You don't want to understimulate the cell, or you don't want to overstimulate the cell. Because if you understimulate, you're not, like if you go too low, then the nervous system is not going to pick up. It's almost like you're touching the scar, like you're just tapping into it. So you want it to be enough that send the signals, like forces the change, but at the same time without stimulating a new change. Because if you do too much pressure, then the stimulate's so high that the nervous system is going to try to kind of create a new connection with that area. All we want to just tell your nervous system, your brain, is, hey, here we are. Just reconnect with this area. And that communication, from my experience, based on my experience, happens even on the first session. So what I call it the software update, after the first shockwave treatment, the communication starts happening. But then I recommend, especially with C-section, because it's a deep cut, to work more on the hardware aspect, on the tissues, on the scar tissues, adhesions, to get the other layers kind of untight.
Right. So what happened with my C-section, and that happens with a lot of people that have this type of scar or any, I guess, abdominal surgery that is deep, is that my core could not engage. And there is a miscommunication between the nerves in the scar area to the brain. And so the rest of the muscles are overcompensating. And the way it feels is that I wake up every morning and my glutes and my lower back and even a little bit of my upper back, my hips, everything, it just feels like it's in pain, actually. If I don't stretch, I am in pain. If I don't wake up in the morning and stretch, I'm in severe pain. And so what happened to me after the first treatment is that first I noticed after since the pregnancy, it's been a year and 7 now, since the delivery, I wasn't able to, I would nurse my baby and try to get off of the bed, and I have to hold things because my core was not engaging. And that evening I was like, I don't feel anything different. But after I nursed him, I got up and I was like, hey, wait a second. I didn't have to put my hand on the dresser. That's pretty cool. What?
Yeah, I love it. Okay.
That was really, really nice.
I need to explain this because this happens with my clients. I treat them and then they feel nothing, because when everything functions normal, you don't get any pain, you don't get any change. That's your norm. So your nervous system doesn't bother you to tell you that you have a problem or you have an improvement. I just feel good. So that's why then I test them and they say whoa, you just pushed my legs down before the treatment and now I can hold you and I don't even have to try. So every time when the core it's dysfunctional, then your extremities will suffer. So the pattern that I see with C-section, appendectomy, tummy tuck, breast augmentation surgeries, what happens is core become dysfunctional. You start overusing your hip flexors. Your hip flexors start flexing your kind of core muscles and the neck. So you do the motion, but it's not coming from the core. And then you start overusing your extremities. So that's why every time when you were going from sitting to standing, your body had to use your arms to push up because the core wasn't doing the work.
Right. And so let me tell you about the second time I went there.
Yes. Okay. Please.
So I went there and I got a little too excited, I believe. A little too excited with Shockwave Therapy. So I didn't only treat my scar. I was like, please do my shoulders and my whole back. Because my back is hurting. It's probably just as good as a massage. And my God, my back is feeling really tight. It's back to tightness. Because after the first treatment, I got up and I was feeling much looser. But now, after the second time where I got so excited and asked them to treat my whole back, I went back to even this morning, wake up oh, my back hurts. I need an hour of stretching before I even get out of bed.
Oh, no. Okay.
So what happens there? I think I overdid it. I overdid it, right?
No. Imagine this. So until you had the first session, who were your muscles that were taking care of you against gravity?
My glutes, my quadratus lumborum, my shoulder muscles, everything else but my abdominals.
Yeah. So these are the overworking muscles.
Yes.
So these are the muscles that are already tired because they have been supporting you, for over a year and a half to do everything that you have been doing. So that's why it's very important to understand what the nervous system wants and not to go kind of what we think.
I was just like, this is amazing. Instead of getting a deep tissue massage, I'll just do this 5-minute treatment and boom. But I think I overdid it for sure.
No, what has happened, because you had electrohydraulic shockwave. So electrohydraulic shockwave, it's a shockwave that does more stimulation in the body. It stimulates more muscle growth. So it's not kind of relaxation. That's why for scars, I recommend more electrohydraulic, because I actually even named this procedure as I call it scar activa, because scars are dysfunctional. So you need to stimulate them. You need to wake them up. So when you do a stimulation on overworking muscle, now you're overstimulating them.
Uh-oh.
So that's why your nervous system defaulted back to like before, because now for your nervous system, your back muscles were already stronger than the core, because the core didn't have chance, to get going and get the strength.
Right.
And that's why everything went back. So if you want to get shockwave for your back and to relax it and to feel good, you have to do on the front, on the scar, the electrohydraulic system, so it activates. And on the back, you go and use what actually in the world, in North America, is known as a shockwave. It sounds like a jackhammer, and that's not a shockwave, so never use that on the scar, by the way. But you go and do that on the back muscles, which relaxes them.
So I did the wrong thing.
Yeah, that's how you reach the balance. So Probably it's a good idea to go and get a massage or stretch, and then just keep working on the front. Don't touch the back.
Yes, don't get so excited. Because when I got I have a shoulder injury on the left side, and when I first came there, when I did the C-section scar, I was like, oh, just do my shoulder. And I did my shoulder. I guess it had scar tissue inside.
Yes.
And it felt really good. So I was like, why not do the whole body? Let's go. I didn't do the whole body. Yeah.
It's still going to help you a lot.
Uh-huh.
It's just you have to give it time, because shockwave is a regeneration therapy. Even though we're using it for different purpose here to activate the scars, but in about 6 weeks to about 9 weeks time, you will have about 200 to 300% more blood circulation in that area.
Wow.
And then the highest stem cell activity, it will be around 8 to 9 weeks. So even though right now things are a little bit more worse because they are overstimulated, things must settle down. So within 4 to 6 weeks, they must settle down. But what's going to happen, the same thing as it happened after the treatment, you're going to adapt to that change every single day when you get up. So for you, it's the norm. But probably 6 weeks later, you're going to just stop and think, oh, it didn't hurt when I did this. It's like, oh, my back is not as bad. So that's what we typically see. So
that's good. Yeah. That's good. Because I want to go back to, I used to do martial arts a very long time ago. And now I'm at a place where I'm like, maybe I should start again. I want to kick and punch. I need it. I'm stressed out. I need to kick and punch. That and yoga. I want to do both.
It's interesting. I used to do personally kickboxing, Muay Thai kickboxing.
Oh, nice.
And my clients, would ask me, it's like, why do you do that? And I say, because I actually find I can meditate and relax more when I'm doing that, because I'm not thinking. If I do yoga, just an example, I have time to think. I cannot really shut down my brain. But if I'm kickboxing and sparring, if I think of anything else, I get a punch. So I have to be 100% there.
There is such dogma and illusion about what spirituality is and what spiritual is. Because you see a person on Instagram with a beautiful background practicing yoga, and he or she says spiritual. And then you see a person do kickboxing and they're so earthy. But it's so not true, because you can find divinity and you can find spirituality in any freaking practice. It's just our dogma and our closed mind and the shutters we put on inside our brain that cannot see that, the expansion of what everything is. Because you can have a meditation while cooking. You can have a meditation while kickboxing. You can have a meditative state while freaking taking the garbage out. who knows? Everything can become a connection to the divine.
It's interesting because this is even on chronic pain, or like from a therapist perspective now. And that's why I don't like using names when somebody comes to me and says, oh, I have rotator cuff tendonitis or degenerative disc disease or this and that. These are just fancy names. As a humans, we tend to connect to the name and actually really forget what is real and what is you and what makes you happy. So wherever you find that peace, whatever makes you to go in that meditative state or for you to feel alive, that's your tool. Do it. If your body likes it, do it. So I fully agree with you. That's amazing.
Yeah. When I was with I'm going back to my experience with the Shockwave Therapy. When I was with the technician, she kept asking me, does this hurt? Does it hurt? Are you in pain? And I'm like, no, I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything. I'm not in pain. She kept asking me over and over again if I'm in pain. It wasn't painful at all. Does it have to be painful?
No. For scar treatments, no. Because with that intensity that I provided you guys, and pretty much anybody who's listening, if they, wherever they are in the world, they can connect through you and us, and we'll provide that. That's for all the listeners. But that intensity, it's enough to only stimulate, but not to over-treat. So it's different intensity when you go and treat the tissue where like the hardware, and it's completely different when you actually try just to send signals. So the only time that it would hurt, let's say if somebody has a tummy tuck surgery, and usually with those surgeries, they go on the side, like they go all the way to the hip bone. Even though the shockwave, it's actually at low level or like low energy, when it hits the hip bone, it's still going to hurt. But as long as the shockwave is on the soft tissue, then there's no pain or like very minimal pain.
My wrists are pretty weak compared to my body. And like they're smaller and they're pretty weak, and especially after the pregnancy, I got some bone growth in them. And they're still kind of weak. The only time I had strong wrists in my life was when I practiced Aikido. And I think when I did pole dancing, when I just took some pole dancing classes, it got stronger. Even with boxing, I had some wrist issues, but it got solved. You know, if I put a good wrap on my wrist, it's fine, and use the right technique. So what happens was that I woke up in the middle of the night and I was kind of like half asleep. My baby was crying. And I held him. He was just like, I don't know, rolling a lot in his sleep. And I had to keep putting him back in the right place because he would like crawl out of the bed. And I had to take him back. And I didn't notice. And I did something to my wrist and I woke up. And I think I tore a ligament in my wrist.
Oh, no.
Everything was swollen. I had to go to see a doctor. And but the next day, I had my shockwave therapy to treat and I asked her to work on that too.
Yes, that's perfect.
It was amazing.
Yes.
It was like instant healing almost.
Yes.
Wow. It saved me. I don't know, 3 days later, I just took off the cast. I was like, I don't need that. I feel fine.
That's awesome. I love, see, okay, I'm going to touch a little bit on the wrist issue that's happening there. So the same is for feet and hands. Both regions are just sensors to the body. So if your wrists are constantly getting hurt and they are painful, it means that the shoulder is not working properly. The big muscles like your pec, your delt are not doing the work. So then you're overusing your forearm muscles, and that's putting more pressure on the wrist. Because hand is designed more for fine movement. It's just to kind of touch and feel things, send that information to the nervous system, and then your big muscles should respond back and take care of the impact and the load. So my suggestion is like try to build your shoulders more, and that automatically will offload the wrist.
Oh, nice.
That's the way to go with exercise, with the rehab part. But Shockwave, what it did to your wrist, because Shockwave has anti-inflammatory effects as well, and it opens the lymph flow, the lymph pathways and nodes. So when you had the shockwave in your wrist, it helped your body to go through the inflammation phase much faster. Because sometimes what happens is we get inflammation because there's an injury, but then there's scar tissues and dysfunction in that area that it doesn't allow the body to go through the inflammation phase properly. And therefore, then it's congestion, and then you get kind of in a vicious cycle, and the problem or the dysfunction becomes chronic. So what I would suggest, because you're getting the electrohydraulic system, work on your deltoid muscles and the triceps and the biceps, even a little bit on the forearm. That should help your wrist even more.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm so happy you're friends. Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
So I know that shockwave therapy, you are treating it not only for pain, you treat it for erectile dysfunction, you treat it for diabetes, you even treat it for Alzheimer's. So let's talk about those things, because I would never even imagine that shockwave therapy can help those things.
Actually, I'm just going to kind of, since we're talking about shockwave now more specifically, I want to kind of just clear the water here. So in North America specifically, when you search for shockwave, there's going to be a lot of places that come up, and then the technology sounds like a jackhammer. You feel that kinetic pressure. So that's not a true shockwave. That's just kinetic pressure. And whoever brought it first to North America, they start selling as a shockwave, and that's what is known. So you have to be careful. It's amazing technology, even that, but that's more just for what we call it myofascial treatment, for scar tissues release, and it's more for muscles and superficial structures. So the true shockwave, there are only 3 types that the shockwave is generated, like 3 types of generators. So it's electrohydraulic system, electromagnetic, and piezoelectric system. I recommend more electrohydraulic and electromagnetic because they have a wider focal point. So they go from electromagnetic 7 millimeter when it shoots wide, and then it goes 12 centimeters deep down. Where the electrohydraulic, it shoots usually 25 millimeters, so you get more area covered, and then the depth is the same, so over 12 centimeters deep in the body. So shockwave has the same mechanism. It does the same thing. Doesn't matter where you use it in the body. Because we have to understand, with shockwave, we're not putting anything artificial on you. We're just applying this sound wave that has mechanical forces, which pretty much is shaking everything off that it should not be there, causing biological stimulation, and then your body thinks that, oh, I have an internal injury, and it mobilizes all the cells to come and repair that structure. So therefore, whether you use it on the head or on the foot or wherever you use it, the effect of the shockwave is the same. But then it depends on the body how long it takes to repair and heal that structure. So therefore, some conditions take probably 5 sessions to treat, some take 3 sessions. So it depends on that. So yeah, shockwave, it's been life-changing for a lot of men, because pretty much 50% of men over 40, they experience erectile dysfunction. And shockwave, it's really good. It makes life-changing effects, especially for vasculogenic erectile dysfunction. So when the erectile dysfunction is due to poor blood circulation in the penis, but not if it's psychological problems or cardiovascular problems, because with any dysfunction in the body, it's not only one system involved. You have to look at the body as one. So what shockwave does, it goes and breaks down scar tissues, adhesions. It kind of removes those microplaquing that gets built up, and then it stimulates new blood vessel growth. So again, the maximum effect from the shockwave for erectile dysfunction, it's seen anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks after the treatment. Although some men, they notice right away, and about 3 months later. Then the same mechanism works for open wounds, like diabetic ulcers. If somebody has a chronic wound that is not healing and they have tried literally everything, again, shockwave can be used. You have to find the proper clinic that specializes in wound care using shockwave. It's totally safe because it's pure sound wave. The same thing as you felt it on the scar. There's literally no pain. And especially for wound, they use it, what they call it, defocal point. So the energy is not actually released in single spot. It's more diffused. And it has also antibacterial effects.
Wow.
So it kind of kills the bacteria while it stimulates new blood vessel growth in the area. So it's truly a solution for chronic wounds that don't heal. And it's used a lot in Europe. In hospitals in Europe, they use shockwave for wound healing. And now the latest condition that has been added into the shockwave kind of treatment protocols is Alzheimer.
You actually do the shockwave on the brain, on the head?
On the head, yes.
Because the technician that I worked with, she was like, "Oh no, we never treat the head. We're you can't do that."
Yeah.
She's also very young, and this is her first time doing anything. Yes.
Honestly, this is very common because what has happened in North America, like we have been doing shockwave for over 11 years in Edmonton here. In Europe, it's been used for over now 30 years.
Can it make me smarter?
Honestly, yes, because again, it's a stimulation. If a frequency, if a vibration, if a light can actually stimulate the brain, sound, it's a little bit more powerful. I'm more a sound guy because with sound, you get both worlds. You get the mechanical forces, plus you get the biological stimulation. So therefore, now it doesn't cure Alzheimer. We don't know that yet, but what they have been able to scientifically prove it, because with anything medical, they need the science, they need the paper.
So it takes inflammation from the brain, and so the brain works better.
Exactly. It improves actually the memory. It decreases the symptoms for at least 4 to 6 months.
That can help people with depression too, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yes. Even addiction and all that. So,
wow.
Yeah, the stores, it's now a brand that has created, it's called Nerolith. In Europe, it's already available. In Canada, it will be this August. Even in United States, probably it's the same timing. And it's a machine that it's exactly the same shockwave machine. It's electromagnetic system, but then it's a little bit more gentle, and it has a monitor where they can kind of see your brain reaction instantly.
Oh, wow. So you have like electrodes connected to your head while they're doing that?
Actually, no, it's you put goggles, and through your eye, it
no
kind
way.
of and sensors. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It sounds like alien technology to me.
Yes.
Wow.
No, it's I don't know where shockwave is going to stop, honestly. And I remember I was at the International Society for Medical Shockwave Treatments, and they were talking. It was just like hypothesis, saying that even probably universe, it's created due to shockwave stimulation, because every explosion that happened in universe, any planet, any boom that happens, even when the thunderstorm happens, it creates shockwaves. But shockwaves at high intensity, they're destruction. At low intensity, they're stimulation. So that's why our body loves this type of vibration so much.
They said that God created the world with words. Like words is sound. So maybe God created God, whatever you call it, created this world with a sound wave.
Yeah, yes. Honestly, it's a very powerful vibration. It's unbelievable.
Wow. You know, vibrations, frequencies, sound waves, light. There's so many like new incredible modalities that can help so many people. And it's such a shame that it's not mainstream. My assumption that it's not mainstream because it's not worth it. If you treat somebody in like 3-4 times and they're good, you don't make enough profit.
Exactly. Honestly, okay, I have to share this story. It was actually an orthopedic surgeon from Boston that told me this when International Society for Medical Shockwave Treatments was actually in United States, I think 2007 or something. And these orthopedic surgeons from Europe, they try to convince orthopedic surgeons in United States to go and use shockwave and try to reduce the amount of surgeries that they do for joints. And they said, if you guarantee me the same amount of money as I make with surgery, I'll go and use the shockwave.
Same with C-sections. I think, I read, I don't know if it's true, but I read that like in countries like Brazil, C-sections are just normal procedure. They don't even go to, most of the women opt out or opt in to do C-section like it's nothing, like it's a walk in the park.
Yes. As I said, any surgery that is for life and death, you must do it.
Yes, there is a time and a place and for surgery. And like, even though the doctor that did my C-section was not as home shanty bunty, flowers and rainbows, you know, she saved my life. So
yes.
It's really important to have that. And it is so important to save people from so many unnecessary procedures and so much unnecessary pain. Because in the direction that you're heading, I can think that this can be a cure for cancer.
It's interesting. In human body, it's like if you have a pain or if you have a dysfunction, most of the care is more towards the symptoms rather than the cause. And you and me know this. It's like you have first to look at the emotional aspect of that person. Emotionally, look at that part, and then you go structurally. So yes, with tools and the direction that humanity it's actually heading in, with the help of internet now, and look at today we are connecting in this conversation using technology, so the information is spread out more. And I'm hoping that this conversation is going to just like lit up lights on people's mind and go and like start looking after the scar, thinking if they have a problem before they do surgery, looking other alternatives. Because if you wait for somebody to take care of you, that's never going to happen. So you are the one in charge. You're the best doctor for yourself. And if you got in car accident, yes, you need to go to a hospital. If you're bleeding, that's it. But anything else, it's pretty much under your control.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. I want to ask you, how does this help people who are diabetic? And also, I know it affects anti-aging as well.
Yes. With diabetic patients, it actually helps indirectly to almost like balance glucose levels in the body. And the way it does this is the same example. When you treated your back, it made those muscles stronger and it kind of stimulated them to grow.
I took my relative who's got that got diabetes, and we did the back, and she feels so much better.
Yes, because it's stimulating muscle growth. And when it's almost like now she's doing more workouts without doing any workouts.
Good job. Good job, me.
Yeah. So it just helps to kind of burn more sugar. It increases the metabolic rate inside.
So when you take a diabetic person, what do you use it on him? Do you do the back? Do you do the hands? Do you do the belly? What do you do?
So I go more after big muscles because that's where we can make more difference. So
my
glute
intuition
muscles,
was really good.
So glute, quadriceps muscles. Quadriceps muscles are really powerful because there's a lot of stem cells that live along the big blood vessels there. So when you treat the quadriceps muscles, then you'll... okay, I'm going to share this story with you quick. So I had a client who beat cancer 6 years ago. She is in her 70s, and she came to me complaining about her knees. So I treated her knees, and 6 weeks later, she came back for follow-up. And I wanted to ask her, how are your knees? And the first thing she said to me is, like, my nails are getting stronger. I said, like, what?
Nice.
Okay, she said, my nails are getting stronger. So I said, okay, yeah, that's actually the stem cell activation that we have, like woken up those dormant stem cells. And then 6 weeks after that, she started dreaming for the first time after 6 years.
Holy wow.
Yeah, chemo, she lost that ability. And then about 3 months later, she was dreaming in color again. And all I was treating her, it was for her knees, like on the quadriceps muscles.
So I say it might be all okay. I'm going a step ahead. I'm like, oh, I guess it can open your third eye too.
I had some clients that I've treated for that too.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yes.
So with diabetic patients, you just go and you take big muscle groups. Will you do the chest? Will you do the back?
We don't recommend to work around the lung area with high intensity shockwave systems because it can blow out the lung. It's a gas organ. So that's one area that all practitioners know. But you're totally safe if you use the lower latissimus dorsi muscles, like the biggest muscle of the body. Use on the glute muscles. Very important, actually, glute muscles and the quadriceps muscles, because we sit a lot. We neurologically make these muscles weaker when we sit at the office, when we drive. So these muscles need to wake up. These are the muscles that support you when you're actually walking and doing activities.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Uran, I wish we had more time to talk about all this amazing stuff. Yeah, I might have to have you back again if you are willing.
Anytime. No problem.
Before we say goodbye for now, what are your 3 top tips to living a stellar life, and where can people find you because so many people need you?
Okay, my first tip for everybody is just focus on breathing. Breathing is the number one thing. You pick a method, focus on that, because without oxygen, there's no life. Second thing is the mindset. It's try to check yourself every time when you find that you're going on a rabbit hole with your thoughts inside your brain, just say, hey, is this real or am I creating this in my head? And if you're just creating in your head, then try to focus to stop that. And then just be active and make sure what you put in your body. Because when those three are in place, then you keep moving. And I learned this in school, a door handle that keeps moving, it never gets rusted. So movement, it's life. But for the movement to happen, you have to have the breathing, you have to have the mindset in place, and you have to have the right nutrition. And then every time when you have a pain, pay attention to your surrounding and see what is missing in your environment, what is the trigger, what your body wants, what your nervous system wants this change for. And then be responsible for your health, because nobody is, if you wait for somebody to take care of you, you're going to be looked just as a number.
Mm-hmm.
So start with yourself first. Then you have a lot of good people in this planet where are willing to help you, to guide you in the right direction. Myself here, I have 2 clinics in Edmonton. They're called Unpain Clinics. Our mission is to help 1 million people reduce pain by 70% by December 31st, 2022. We are doing that by treating actively at our clinics or by me training others around the world to help other people. So that's our goal. And if you need any help, please go to our website at unpainclinic.com. You can schedule a free telehealth session directly with me. I'm willing to help you and guide you wherever you are, or just contact us and then my team will help you. Again, guide you to find the right, probably clinic or shockwave treatment wherever you are.
Wow. Orion, this was mind-blowing, amazing. I appreciate you. You're a wonderful human being and such a smart and kind healer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. And I hope our conversation helps somebody to unpain at whatever level in life. Yeah.
I am sure. Thank you. And thank you, listeners. Remember to focus on what you want, because breathing, mindset, and nutrition are so essential. Always find what will work the best for you and take care of you first. And have a stellar life. This is Orion. Till next time.
Thank you for joining me on my mission to light people up and change lives around the world. I hope today's conversation inspires you to step up, go after the life of your dreams, and be who you want to be. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go to stellarlifepodcast.com for show notes, transcripts, and other cool stuff. And please subscribe, review, and help spread the word by sharing us on Facebook and Twitter. Have a lovely day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.